Hey, what's up everybody? It's Y2CJ3600 or 3600. But I like saying 3600. And I thought I'll do something interesting today and explain to y'all why exactly I make videos. Yeah, I've been making YouTube videos for probably a decade now. I think it was around 2004, 2005. That's when I learned how to make GIF pics. And for anybody who doesn't know what a GIF pic is, it's basically a picture that moves around like a stop motion type thing. But yeah, I want to kind of go back further and explain just how I got into this whole artistic background thing. It actually started back when I was in kindergarten, 5 years old of all things. I had entered this art contest and we had to draw like birds and stuff, and mine actually ended up winning. And I was so happy and proud of myself. That's kind of how I knew back then I was kind of like destined to do kind of like the art thing. And like from there, I just started like drawing more pictures on paper. I remember like one of the main things I used to draw as a kid was actually Ninja Turtles, because they came out in the 80s and that's when I was a kid. And I remember I would just like take like tons of sheets of paper and basically draw an entire like cartoon episode with Ninja Turtles. But like, of course you get tired of drawing like all these characters and all these backgrounds and all this other crap. So like I had the idea of putting invisible helmets on them. Basically it was just like a cone shaped helmet with their initial on it. And that was basically the entire cartoon. Like the first page will show them as Ninja Turtles, and then the rest of the pages will have them doing all their like ninja stuff and crime fighting stuff with invisible helmets on. But you'll see their weapons move around. And so, as a kid of like the 80s and 90s, that was probably like the best decades, especially the 90s, when it comes to watching TV. And I was a huge TV buff. And then as anybody know, back in the day, Fox Kids was probably like the best cartoon show for like little kids. We had everything from X-Men to Spider-Man to Batman, the Power Rangers, like Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four, Iron Man, you name it. We even had like Eek the Cat. I don't even know if any of y'all remember Eek the Cat, because they don't show reruns though, and I'm pretty sure it's not on DVD, but you can probably find it on YouTube somewhere. And as a young boy, who doesn't love superheroes? I remember like I used to buy Spider-Man comic books as a little kid from this little store, but then once that store closed down, I never bought a comic book again. But it was awesome seeing your hero come from page to like the small screen in animation and watch it come alive, and then hearing voices behind it. And then when it hit the big screen, it was even cooler than that. So like when I was in high school, I took more art classes because you're required and stuff. And I remember that's when I got introduced to this like different type of paper to draw on. And also still being a fan of Fox Kids as a teenager, I subscribed to their magazine, and they had these really cool pictures of like Spider-Man, and they were very beautiful. So I decided to draw them all. Then I showed my teacher, and she just loved them. So going into college right after high school, I kind of had a feeling I was probably gonna go into art, which is probably, I'm gonna tell you this right here right now. Don't be an art major. You don't want to be a struggling artist. It's like the worst thing ever. Now, if you have a pretty good feeling, you're probably gonna go into actual real animation, work for like Disney or Warner Bros. Or Marvel or DreamWorks or something like that, then do art. In the world we live in today, nobody appreciates art. So when I was in college, my very first semester, I was still just drawing by hand. And I have never done any type of Photoshop or anything like that. And my art and drawing started getting way better to where I would like draw very more realistically. And I was actually also doing that too when I was in high school, trying to draw people's faces and mimic their like actual like physical features and stuff. I gotten pretty good with some people, other people not so much, but I was getting better at it. And I don't know if you can actually see these pictures because I had to take them with my digital camera, and after so many years, like the chalk and pencil just kind of faded, but you get an understanding. Then in my second semester of college, my very first year, I took a Photoshop class, and boy, I fell in love with Photoshop, let me tell you. It was like the coolest thing ever. It's like drawing by hand, but a million times better. And you can do like just so much more with it. And I remember these were some of my first art projects I ever did in Photoshop, and then the main one I ever did was this one of Wolverine. And that's kind of how I knew, you know, I was done with the hand drawings and hello to the computer generated stuff. So after I had this like newfound appreciation from Photoshop, like literally I never hand drew again. And it was after that point I just started making like tons of Photoshop pictures, but I will also do like a series with a theme to it. Then I took a really cool class, and I forget the name of it, but it taught me how to make stop animation with just Photoshop. It was like, holy crap, I can make my pictures basically come to life like a cartoon. And so after that, that's when I literally started making my YouTube page. With time, you have to practice and practice and practice. But even though I knew my stuff wasn't that good, it was still good in my head, and I was so excited, I just wanted the whole world to see it. So, you know, no matter how crappy my animation was, I still put it on YouTube for everybody to see. And some people liked it, and some people really hated it. And they let me know just much how they really hated it. And it got to the point where it was kind of just like, you know, I'm not going to make videos no more because, you know, getting verbally assaulted hurts a whole lot more than getting physically assaulted. But then, you know, because I'm so passionate about art, I decided, screw that. I'm going to do whatever I want to anyway, and I don't care who likes it. So I still continue to make videos after that. One thing that bugs me about my videos is that when I make the pictures in this, it's crystal clear. But the moment I put it in Windows Movie Maker, they come out fuzzy, so when you watch it on YouTube, it looks fuzzy looking. But they actually are very clear. That's why if you ever make videos, you need to do it in an Apple computer. When I first started posting videos, it actually wasn't on YouTube. I made a mistake with that. It was actually MySpace I started uploading my videos to. And my MySpace page is still out there somewhere in computer land, but I have no idea where because I forgot my password and the email that I used it for and everything like that. It's probably under the name Y2CJ3600. And before I actually started posting animation videos, I started posting live action videos because I really wanted to get into this whole movie making type thing. But I didn't have nobody to do it with me. So I was basically doing everything on my own. So it was kind of like I made this 2 horror videos, like a slasher scream type thing. And I basically had to do everything myself. I had to play like the victim and the killer, and of course they had to be twins. And I remember like when I was making my videos, my animation videos, it took so long just to make like a minute clip. If I really push it, I would spend a whole day or two Photoshop, hands cramped, light bill getting very high and expensive, everything just for like a minute clip. Like it takes a long freaking time because first you have to come up with the idea of how you gonna make the thing look, and then you have to actually execute it, and then you need templates also. And you know, that's only if I really push it. Now if I lag and drag because my hands cramping up because I'm getting older now, I'm 32 now, it's like, okay, so now it'll take me like a whole week or 2 just to make like a minute video. So when you see my longer videos that are like 10 minutes or 20, that basically takes a month or 2 just to make. And I remember when I started doing this whole YouTube thing, I never thought I would have like over 400 subscribers. I never thought I would get like praise for it. I never thought I'd have like tons of views and this and that, because a lot of my animation videos were like crappy. Now I've kept some of the crappy ones up. I deleted the really crappy ones. Probably one of the crappy ones I still have up is the very first werewolf transformation. I think it's called Lycan something. And the very first X-Men video, I think War of the Sentinels, not 2.0, but the very first one. You know, and after a while, I started looking at these videos. I'm just like, now I know why I was getting criticized really badly for them. So I decided to take time off making videos, spend about a whole year making templates of like the actual characters and stuff, and their movements and this and that, and then come back better than ever. And then actually I kind of did that too. I mean, I'm never saying like my videos are like the best thing in the whole world, I'm the best animator ever, but my videos are pretty decent, you know, you have to say. And of course, because I'm making these videos and I'm voicing it and stuff, and I don't have nobody to help me voice it, so I have to like do it on my own. So I try my best to like, you know, change up my voice and everything. And like if I voice act, you will rarely ever hear my real voice in these videos. Like the only time you'll ever hear is in certain characters, probably like Cyclops, also Dick Grayson, but I change it up a little bit. It's more of a squeakier, younger sounding voice than what my voice is. My voice acting is kind of like I'm working on the fly. Like I will have stuff I want to say in my head and I'll forget it because I don't write it down. So I'm constantly trying to like remember what I'm saying, and my voice starts to sound dull and everything. And also it's kind of like whenever there's a camera on you, for some reason you just kind of like freeze up a little bit. Like your demeanor and your voice, it just changes for some bizarre reason. And it should be pretty obvious by now that like my passion when it comes to making these videos is like comic book heroes. I mean, you know, I love it. And it's what's really taking over the world right now. And you know, as I make more and more of these videos, because it's like, you know, I would like to get noticed. I would like to get recognized. It would be so awesome to actually work for Marvel or DC, but I doubt that will ever happen. Also, I feel so bad for y'all nowadays because it's kind of like cartoons aren't as cool as they used to be. Like, probably the last cool cartoon I saw was Young Justice. But back in the 90s, man, you had some good stuff. The Spider-Man, the Batman, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Ninja Turtles and stuff. Like, they were so much better back in, like, the 90s. And now you have this newer version that where it's okay and it's decent, but it's too comical. And it's, you know, and it's just like, it's too silly. And but for some reason y'all like that. And even with the live action stuff, like Power Rangers back in the Fox Kids day was the best. And like I'm not really into the Nickelodeon Power Rangers because I just can't feel it, you know, like it's just not there for me. And even TV back in like live action TV was better back in like the 90s and stuff because you had more variety. You had people that are willing to expand the look of television and think outside the box. You know, you had shows like Sliders and Xena and, like I said, Power Rangers. And just other shows I can't even think about right now, but, you know, like, I'm probably going to show little clips of pictures of them right here and now. And newer TV shows, they're still good. Now, there's a lot of shows I like Person of Interest. I like Legend of the Seeker, stuff like that. Hannibal, oh yeah, I love that. I'm pissed it got canceled. But a lot of these shows nowadays are really all the same. Like, how many cop dramas do you have on CBS? How many shows get canceled in the first season on NBC and ABC alone? You know, and Fox, what happened to Fox? Fox used to be very good. Like, you had some edgy comedies back in the day, and now all their shows get canceled within like a season or two. And their comedies aren't as edgy as they used to be. So that's really why I make videos. It's just my passion and love for animation and art and the whole Hollywood movie making experience. And like, but a lot of the stuff I see on TV and a lot of stuff I see in movies in the day is kind of like, that's not really good. Like the storyline wasn't good, or the acting wasn't good, or the animation wasn't good. And it's kind of like, I wish I was doing that because I would love to bring like a broader scope to it and in depth and an artistic look. I'm all about visuals and stuff. And it's kind of like when I see these movies like Avengers, Age of Ultron, it's kind of like, okay, it's alright, but it could have been a million times better. But how come you didn't push the envelope? And it's probably because, you know, directors have one style and the writer have one style, and then the actors want to put their 2 cents in, and of course the studio really want to put their 2 cents in, and everything gets muffled and screwed up. And then it becomes a huge failure like Blade Trinity. Like, what the world was up with that? The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, that should have been amazing, but it wasn't. And then, of course, in Hollywood, all you get is like all these reboots of everything, and nobody wants to be like original no more. And then when they are being original, they suck at it. And because I'm so passionate about comic book stuff, I would just make like a minute clip of like a very ironic picture or scene in a comic book, and I'll bring that to life. Because it's kind of like, oh wow, I remember that scene from like the comic book or blah 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 blah, stuff like that. And it's like, hey, now it's animated, blah, blah, blah. And so it's like, hey, cool, all right. Because we've had a lot of great pioneer animators, like, in our heyday. Like, we had Walt Disney and Jim Henson, Bruce Timm, Stan Lee. And it's like, you know, these guys started just like all of us. You know, growing up as kids, loving animation, and then actually putting it out as they got older. And now look at them, they're like super famous and stuff. Because Bruce Timm, you know, many people who don't know this, like there was a show called Tiny Toons. I loved it to death. It was like a smaller version of Looney Tunes and stuff, and he was basically doing that. And then the people at Warner Bros. Are all like, "Hey, want to make a Batman cartoon?" And, well, he just threw that stuff like on the like floor or whatever, and he just started drawing Batman, and bam, we had Batman the animated series, which is by far the best Batman comic book adaptation there's ever been. Anybody who's never seen Batman the animated series, 'cause you might be a little too young or just don't know what it is, you truly missed out. That was, my God, it was just like groundbreaking. Like, you just don't know how good it was. Everything from like the animation to the music to the voice acting. You know, they drew on black paper, which was so ironic. Like, most cartoons draw on white paper. And that's why the look of the series was so dark. And the series was so realistic, because it had that whole 1940s Ziggy style, you know? And nowadays, when you look at Batman, he's now drawn on a computer. You know, back then they did it hand drawn. They either try to take elements from the movies, or they just come up elements from the comic book series, and it's either like a hit or a miss. So that's really why I make videos. It's just my passion and love for animation and art.